With just a few days left in 2022, it is time for a new reading journal setup. I've really enjoyed book journaling this past year and I'm definitely excited to continue. I'll be uploading a flip through of my 2022 reading journal soon, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. I think I have figured out a little more which spreads work for me, which ones I really use and which ones I don't. So for my 2023 setup, I've kept it to my key spreads for the year. I usually do more TBR spreads and stat check-ins as the year comes on. So getting started with the cover page and the overall theme, I wanted to use this pattern that I have used in one of my spreads earlier this year that I found so calming to draw. I journal for a large part to relax and take my mind off things, and this floral pattern and plaid pattern was perfect for that. So for the title page, I wrote out reading journal in the middle. I cut out an open book shape in purple paper and book pages for the pages and glued that on below. And then, as if coming out of the books and growing all around the title, I drew the floral pattern all the way to the top of the page. And at the bottom, I used some craft paper as a contrasting background. On the left side, I opted for a quote page. I used the craft paper as a background, then pasted a small purple background with finally the journal paper where I drew on the floral pattern as a frame. I went with a quote from If We Were Villains, a book I read a couple of months ago and really enjoyed. One of the quotes I highlighted at the time was, "I need language to live, like food. Lexemes and morphemes and morsels of meaning nourish me with the knowledge that, yes, there is a word for this. Someone has felt it before." Which I thought was a pretty fitting quote for a journal dedicated to books and words. Next, I have a spread for the books I have read, which replaces my table of contents page from last year. I mainly looked back at the list of books I read rather than the TBR or check-in spreads I made, so I thought I would simplify it. And it will also make for a good place to at least include a star rating for the books. I planned out space for 50 books because that seems like a reasonable amount for me. I read about a book a week, give or take, so that usually ends me up just below 50. I used the floral pattern at the top to frame the top part of the page and used the purple and craft paper to frame the bottom part. I wrote books read in the same font on the left. And on the right side, I went with another quote, this time from On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which is another one of those books that just show the beauty of writing. The quote reads, "I considered the stars the smattering of blue, white phosphorescence, and wondered how anyone could call the night dark." Next, we have a TBR spread, a smaller one this time, and also split into my physical TBR books that I have on my shelf, and then my wish list. Books on my shelf that I really want to get to are The Walnut Mansion, which is set in the 20th century Yugoslavia, following 5 generations of a family living through its turbulent history. A Burning, which the blurb says is about 3 unforgettable characters who seek to rise to the middle class, to political power, to fame in the movies, and find their lives entangled in the wake of a catastrophe in contemporary India. The Night Watchman, which won the Pulitzer Prize in 2021 and has been on my TBR for just as long. Then I have Cemetery Boys, a young adult fantasy, which I might wait until later in 2023 to read, so I don't have to wait too long for the sequel to come out in 2024. I also have on my TBR The Buried Giant. I haven't read any of Kazuo Ishiguro's books yet, so I don't know if this is the right place to start, but I saw it at a used bookstore and it sounded really interesting. I also hope to read It Ends With Us. I've only read Verity by Colleen Hoover, and I feel like I should really get to reading at least one of her romance books. I also have here Nowhere Man, which I don't really know what it's about all that much, but it really caught my eye in the bookstore. And finally I have the reading list, which I am delaying a little to give myself some time to read the books mentioned in this book as well. I wrote the titles of these books on pieces of purple paper and drew them into a book, and then used the floral pattern to connect them together. For the right side, I cut out some craft paper as background and drew a frame in the floral pattern in which I wrote my wish list of books I don't have yet. Top of the list is Where Sleeping Girls Lie, which is Farida Abikiyimire's new book that comes out in 2023, which I really want to read because I loved Ace of Spades. It was one of my favorite books last year. I also have quite a few series, which I definitely should not all start in the next year, but I have listed Daughter of the Moon Goddess, the Side series, His Dark Materials, and Settle in Ascent. I also have a few non-fiction books, which I talked about before, which is Half the Sky, Storyworthy, and Ace. And then finally, I also have Project Hail Mary. Let me know if you've read any of these. I would love to hear what you thought about them. The next spread is for recommendations, and I was really happy with my decision last year to have this split into two. One side for recommendations I receive, which I also use to write down all of your recommendations, and then on the right side for books that I want to remember to recommend to other people. I kept this spread very simple since there will be a lot of text. So I used the floral pattern to frame the top of the page and then wrote out recommendations in the same font and then used some craft paper to divide up the list. Please continue to leave your recommendations in the comments. They have made me discover some really good books that I otherwise might not have picked up, and I really want to read more of your recommendations in 2023. My final spread is for first lines of the books I read. I guess this is a little bit of a strange one, but I developed this weird obsession with the opening lines of books. It often really sets the tone for the book, and it is also often what determines whether I will pick up a book or not if I'm not so sure. So this year I wanted to dedicate a full page to the first lines of the books I do end up reading, and I think it will be really fun to look back at the end of the year. I only made a thin frame with the floral pattern for the spread, because I think that these pages will get quite packed. So that was it for my setup for 2023. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next year.